Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the SEL Day celebration. I'm Dr. Kevin Briggs, the Professional Learning Managing Coordinator at the Center for the Promotion of Social and Emotional Learning in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, and I will be guiding our sessions today. We are broadcasting 10-minute sessions every hour on the hour from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Sessions so far have included systemic SEL, what is SEL, stress mitigation, resilience in SEL, trauma-informed practices in SEL, and building rapport. Remaining sessions include this one, adult SEL skill building, school climate in SEL, and integrating SEL into academics. For this session, we will focus on adult SEL skill building, as the title slide shows. This topic is best approached via all 5 SEL competencies. Adults tend to have a lot of responsibilities, and it is quite easy to become engrossed in them and to lose sight of our own skill building needs. We teach, we raise, we pay, we maintain, we organize, we decide, we do. However, all of this tends to be externalization. It's for another, like a loved one, or it's for another, like an employer, a student, a utility company. If we're not careful, our adulting skills may stagnate. And then if we are not proceeding in a way conducive to our well-being or the well-being of those around us, then we all suffer. So this session is going to include what you see here in front of you. We're going to have an introduction, which we are just about finished with. Then we're going to talk about the relevant competencies to adult SEL skill building, which, as I mentioned, include all of them, but we'll go over that. We'll talk about setting intentions and completing needs assessments. We'll do an activity, and then we'll have our closing. When it comes to relevant competencies and adult SEL skill building, as I mentioned, we can really focus on all of the competencies because we're essentially considering a whole individual, an adult, and how they can strengthen or reinforce their pursuit of SEL competencies. So we would be best served to focus on an adult's self-awareness, which, as we talked about in earlier sessions today, is simply the awareness of yourself, how you're positioned, maybe what your conditioning is, what your habits are, what your triggers are, what your delights are, those types of things. Self-management, which is obviously pretty closely related to behavior because we're managing really our internal world, our inner world with self-management, because as we manage our inner world, that impacts our externalizing behaviors. Responsible decision-making, certainly professional educators make thousands of decisions a day. So this is a huge competency as it relates to education and professional educators. Relationship skills. So much like responsible decision-making, this is a very complex competency for professional educators. There are groups of students for whom we're directly responsible, and we have relationships also with their family, guardians, parents, sometimes their siblings, and also our colleagues, and really the community in which we work and live, even if they are separate communities. And social awareness. And this, I think, comes into adult SEL skill building in that it behooves adults to maintain a proficient social awareness, especially when in the position of great influence over children, because this is being tied into what the current state of affairs are, the national temperature, so to speak, different kinds of issues that are coming up, things that the students might be concerned with, a lot of times more than we're concerned with necessarily, or new things that we're trying to catch up with. So social awareness. All of these competencies need to be taken into account when we talk about adult SEL skill building. So the first thing we can do for adult SEL skill building is to set the intention to prioritize the way that we show up for ourselves and others. Then we can do a type of needs assessment on ourselves, considering the 5 SEL competencies: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. And how we are or are not attending to each of them in a way that is conducive to cultivating well-being for ourselves and others. We actually have 2 similar needs assessments at the Center for the Promotion of Social Emotional Learning that are designed to help schools identify their SEL strengths and weaknesses. Whether applied to an educational setting or to an individual, a needs assessment can give you helpful insight. As we shift into an activity, we can reflect on the following. So we have 4 or 5 points of reflection there for adult SEL skill building, and they relate directly to the 5 competencies. So let's dive in. For an adult's personal consideration, the following can be part of the equation. First, reflect on your self-awareness. What are you aware of about yourself? What do you know about yourself? What do you like? What might need further consideration? Put otherwise, what are you learning about yourself, or what do you hope to learn about yourself? Maybe what do you need to learn about yourself? Now consider self-management. Are you skillfully managing the way you show up in the world by your standards? It's one thing for us to show up in the way that an individual is expecting us to, or an organization is expecting us to. But it's another thing altogether to show up in a way where we're doing so according to our standards. Are we showing up as the best version of ourselves? When you consider that and your self-management, think about how you do that, how you do it successfully, how you manage yourself well. Think of some examples of that. And again, think of what could use some more focus in terms of your personal self-management. Next is responsible decision-making. How are you doing with this socially and emotionally? Are you making decisions conducive to yours and others' well-being? Because that's really the bottom line. Is it conducive to well-being for yourself and others? Are your decisions having that impact? What are some good examples of when that is absolutely the case? We start there. We start with the positive. And what could use some more focus? So what are some examples of when you're confident that you've done that, where you've been successfully making responsible decisions, and what could use some more focus? What are some times when either it didn't quite work out, or that you perceive as areas of growth, or maybe that you've been told are areas of growth by someone that you trust and respect? Next, we have relationship skills. Again, what do you do well regarding relationships? What do you do well? This is the time where we think about maybe our loved ones or the people with whom we feel close. And I would venture so far as to say it can involve a person. I think it can also involve pets under the right circumstances. What could use some more focus regarding relationship skills? Finally, and this is a little bit more complex, consider all 8 billion or so people in our world and their vastly unique cultures and contexts. How aware are you of what their experiences are like? So it's one thing for us to be really in tune with things that are going on locally. We have shared experiences with members of our community, or at least more shared experiences with them than we do with people who are outside of our community. So you consider all of it. How aware are you of what all of their experiences are like? People in our family, our neighbors, our community, our state, region, our country, and then maybe even extending beyond the borders of our own country, such as international conflicts and that kind of thing. Once you consider each of the 5 SEL competencies, go ahead and turn to someone nearby and share what you think your greatest need is in regards to adult SEL skill building. What about the needs of the adults in your organization? What can you do to help? Go ahead and discuss that with someone nearby. Well, thank you for joining us today for this installment of our SEL Day celebration. We hope you benefited from this session and can continue to join us in our collective pursuit of the SEL competencies. For more information about SEL and ways to cultivate it within your organization, please visit us at www.selforpa.org. You can also reach us at www.sipsel.org, where you can find out information about SEL trainings in the 2023 National Social and Emotional Learning Conference being held May 15 through 17 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.